VPR Radio. I don't know what y'all listening to, but where we at? Yes.
Wild
Shout out to the chat.
And some of them were non-consensual, right? So yeah, and I think that's a great segue actually into
there were victims in this
traumatologist that is in the room, because she speak with authority on all of these things, because at the end of the day, as much as this is in the media and whatnot, all of these people that have been affected by him in these types of scenarios need healing, right? And we're going to get into that. Let me bring up Miss Antara Rashida. Hi, beautiful.
Let's get to it.
Hey, how are you, gorgeous? Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty fine. And I love the energy, and I love the frames. I love the glasses.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. So what's going on, y'all?
So we want to get into it because I know that you have a deep history of, healing, teaching others to heal, being immersed in community. You have a lot of different projects and affiliations going on. And I know last time you were here, we delved into quite a bit of that, right? But this is an ongoing process. And I think especially as we see things in the media, like with Diddy, right? It really highlights with like Jeff Epstein, right? It highlights just for a moment what goes on regularly. And then we can go further into like families and family secrets and et cetera, et cetera. So I really just want to start from there and learn about what your journey has been like for those that haven't seen you before to where you are now, and really talk about the process and how you teach people, because I know it's very raw.
Very raw. So thank you again for having me to have this conversation. And so, of course, Diddy has come up, right? We talk about the trauma that so many people had experienced as a result of his accused behaviors. And then it helps us to look at other people who start to come out and share their story as the lid is taken off, right? And so I've coined lid to mean living in despair. But when somebody kind of starts to take the lid off, they're trying to get from a place of despair to determination, right? That they want to be able to come out of this place that has them feeling so locked up and locked in. And so seeing what, Puffy's behavior has started some courageous conversations. And I'm going to shift just a little bit, just thinking about Krishan, right? And just the accusations that she made about her sister. It breaks my heart only because these conversations are not being held in a safe space, right? So, you have trolls that have goals. And that starts to re-victimize people, right? Some people are able to come out and say, hey, me too. I'm so happy that you were able to share. But then they don't really tell you how they heal from that. It's kind of like, I suck it up. It happened to me too. You got to get over it and move on. But do you really get over it and do you move on? And so at some point in my young adult life, not even understanding that my responses were traumatic. I was showing up in places and spaces, not understanding that it's not okay to tell people you're going to cut them. Like, it's not okay, right? Like, but how do you know that when you grew up in a home where by 16, you're ducking because your aunt is throwing glass across the room because she doesn't know how to manage her anger, right? So you start to think like, this is an appropriate response. And then you learn over time in community. And that's why it's so important not to isolate ourselves. When we find ourselves going through situations and circumstances, it's so easy to be like, I got it. I'm going to manage it on my own. I'm not going to put this on nobody else. But the most important thing is to seek help. And so for me, seeking help was just admitting something is off. Something don't feel right. And I can only attribute that to my relationship with God because, I had no idea. I wanted to go to college and be a forensic psychologist for the FBI. But when I took my first few psychology classes and I came home for Thanksgiving, I started handing out diagnoses. I was like, you bipolar and you schizophrenic and my uncle was like, hey, little girl, come in here. Let me talk to you, right? And I'm saying, why you never said anything, right? And there's that fear of, I don't want to be rejected and I don't want to be abandoned by my own family. because they're not ready to hear it. They're not ready to deal with it, right? So it's a matter of when people are ready to have those courageous conversations. And unfortunately, some people don't ever get to that place where they're ready. And this is where I show up. I come to get you, right? My goal is, hey, this is what happened, being transparent and vulnerable, even telling people like, you're trying to tell my story and you're not even telling it right? Let me tell it. Because I want people to really understand the impact that healing has made on my life. And it has been a transformative journey. So back to what I was saying earlier about Puffy, his own behaviors, right? And his own experiences may have led him to do the things that he's done. But like I say to my daughter and to other people who I, support, people don't really care what happened to you when you're younger after a certain age. By a certain time, people are like, you needed to deal with that. Like, that is not an excuse, right, for you to become the very thing that hurt you. And I think that's exactly what happened to Puff, right? That he became the very things that hurt him. Same thing we say about R. Kelly. So when we hear these things about where they may have been molested, where they may have been sexually abused, where they may have been punched in the face, and that was their love language from dad growing up, it doesn't change the fact that we still vilify them when we realize what happened to them.
I completely agree with that. I talk to my kids about this all the time, even in terms of like bullies, right? They're bullies for a reason. There's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, or that we may see even just as a reflection of their parents, right? Reflection of their environment. And I'm so glad you spoke very candidly about, anger, because we grew up in that type of environment. Like, girl, you know me from way back when, how many fights I had, right? Like, I was quick to respond. I had to, though. That was what it was. And so you learn to live with that anger and you just keep it going. But when you don't release and you don't heal, you're now just keeping this cycle going. And so it's so important to have that conversation. And I do agree, because if you don't heal, it's just like someone who's emotionally immature and eventually becomes a narcissist, right? You have the time to change these components in yourself and to heal whatever created that damage, that created these responses and these defenses and that ego. But it's all a false sense of self, right? Or the victimization that you're putting onto others because you've been a victim. So I'm so glad that you spoke about that. We have a question, if you could read that, FMI.
Yeah, I'm gonna take over on that question. And just before we bring up our question from our guest, shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Y'all all tuned in from all our platforms. I love to see it real early. It'll engage you with us. And we do take time to sensationalize like the Diddy's and these cases, and I love what you brought up of the human experience behind it. Like, what is this kid's going through this? What is, they cut jokes and we're making jokes of it. But at the end of the day, like, this is one of the people that really moved the hip hop industry. And now we're having a come to, what's the best way to put it? We're all seeing the truth behind all the smoke and mirrors, as far as the lives affected with some of these things, these allegations of what these men did. But I'm going to read this question by Andre Woodward. He said, being a father of 3 daughters, how can you explain the woman trauma that has been going on in the media?
So I think that is an amazing question, right? And being very honest with young ladies about the things that they are seeing and what can happen to them out there. And so, for example, Kiana and I, I'm gonna throw her out here. We can sing. Don't ask me to DJ FMI, but we can sing. We've had opportunities. And so I remember right before college, I was offered a record deal and I turned it down because it required me to stay in New York. I would have had to go to Hunter College. And because of my sexual violence experience, I was determined to get out of the Lower East Side. I suffered well through high school, and I was just like, I don't even have a safety school. So everything was a HBCU in the South. And so that was a no-go. That was a non-negotiable for me. But when this happened with Cassie, and as I started to see the things going on with Krishan, I used that as exampleship for my daughters to have those brave conversations. And that's what I want you to recognize. They are brave conversations, right? Don't think that if you don't have them, they're not being had, right? As sheltered as my family tried to make me, it didn't work. I still experienced some things. I still saw some things. I still heard some things. So using Cassie and talking about how strong she is to share her story, right? And answer the questions, why did she wait so long, right? You may not have the answer to that, but help her understand, help your children understand the power dynamic. Right. I think that we make so much light of that everybody knew and everybody co-signed and nobody spoke up for her. Right. But the power dynamic is real. Right. And we see how long it took for him to be brought to the light about his behaviors. And so many people higher than him knew what was going on. Right. And so it's easy to blame the person who's having the experience and say, why you didn't get out sooner? Why you didn't speak up? Right. Why are you only, asking for financial support at this time because the statute of limitations is up? Well, I lost some things, right? And I need to be able to make a difference in my own life. And that's a form of justice for me. And honestly, I don't have to explain that to anyone, right? And those are the things that you want your young ladies to understand, that they have a right to ask, right? And they have a right to hold things to themselves, that they are not free game for everyone. And that no matter who you are, where you are, whether it's the projects, right, or in somewhere of prestige, that you can be a survivor of violence. And so you must always protect yourself and always be guarded in a way where you are aware.
Oh, girl, the power.
VPR.
And if I could just say, I'm so happy that you brought up Krishan and use her as a speaking tool, because I think that she's really been demonized in the media, unfortunately, her and her relationship with Blueface. And unfortunately, when I look at this girl, all I see is trauma and hurt and pain, and I want her to heal. And the fact that now she's a mother, right? I don't know if the child is affected by whatever disabilities, right? Like, it's just all so sad. And to perpetuate it, even putting her on the bad girls club and all of that is just feeding into the trauma. And we're creating a celebration of that, right? And a depiction of Black women and Black men in the media that is not correct. That is not a representation of all of us, right? And it's unfortunate because that is what a lot of what we see and use as entertainment. And at the core of it is a lot of pain.
And I seen that you were speaking. I don't know if you were speaking exactly on the last clip that came up of Krishan, and I know on the internet in the last week, I'm not too familiar with like the shows that she's on, but this clip been on the internet where she received some trauma from her sister, and I just want to play that here VPR so you can start to understand. I know there's an image being painted up, but this shocked and took me back, so I think it's something good to play here. So let's get into it.
You said what? I'm done talking. You're going to jail. Defamation of character.
Jeez, that's it.
VPR, see, I gotta find a better clip. But in the clip, Krishan goes on to say her sister made her eat her vagina when they were younger. And she quickly said, what? And I know they're using it for promo on their show, and I know she has deals with that. But this is what we're talking about.
Promo for her, though. I honestly think that was a very raw moment, and she just spit that out, and it was something that she had been holding for a long time, and it just came out. I've seen it happen in my family, and you're like, what? A conversation that's getting very, very heated, and then someone says something, and you're like, whoa, right? So I don't even feel like for Krishan, I'm talking about, that was something that she wanted to promote. I don't even think she meant for it to come out. It just flew.
Either way, it's clipped up and it's used for promo, so it's exactly what the image she wants to be put of herself. You know, what it's allowed to.
Right?
Some kind of way, you know what I mean, for the bag.
Yeah, let me say this. It's not the network itself, right? The network is
I think it was Zeus. I don't know if she's still rocking with Zeus, but before she got baptized recently, so that's something positive. You know, I just want to throw something in there. I seen her getting baptized. I was like, that's awesome for her. You get what I mean? Hopefully it's not just for the cameras, but she can have her comeback story and find the people around her in her camp that really care about her image, care about her, and the child.
I mean, we've seen it, right? Look at Black China. I think she's a true testament of that. All right. you have to heal. And we see her mother and the dynamic there, right? And you can understand a lot of it. And I think that, unfortunately, because so much is presented to us, it's easy to just dismiss and become desensitized to the
Exactly.
fact that these people are humans, just like we are, just like we experience emotions and hurt and pain. And like you said, have these traumatic responses to things because that's what we know innately until we recreate ourselves and redirect ourselves. Right. So we just see a lot of that, and it's sad.
You
It's
have to think about your most embarrassing moment being put on display for the world to see. That's what celebrities are experiencing, right? And so think about how old was Krishan when she got into the limelight, and how she has been taken advantage of. And so in the world of, spirituality, we talk about the mountain of arts and media, right? And so we can try to move that mountain all day, but one of the ways you move that mountain is, again, having conversations with your children. We don't watch these things. We don't support this. Why? Because it's just counter transferring energy into you, that is not healthy, right? The more that we watch it, the more their ratings go up. So the more they feel inclined to produce this. We got to keep it real. Some people are getting off on other people's pain, right? And we think that that's cute. And it's reality TV until it gets real, right? We always know that. It's reality TV until it gets real. And that moment was real for her. And so, yeah, she may have spewed it, right? And I don't think she did it for a promo moment, but Zook said, let us get this because it'll help us as a network go. So regardless of why people, are doing, everybody's just trying to get their money. Everybody's trying to just be productive, right? And so you have to be discerning. And so back to what I said earlier about Kiana and I having opportunities and maybe saying, nah, I'm not going to take that. I use that as a moment to say to my daughters, look, I've been through what Krishan has been through. I'm here in Baltimore, sis. If you see me. We can do this on the private tip, right? Because every time I see her, it breaks my heart, right? I'm not one of those, I don't need you to make me anything. I genuinely want to help, right? And so I use that as an example for my daughters to help them understand this is real. This is why we don't do sleepovers, right? Our stuff happens in our own family. So I'm an intergenerational traumatologist because I know what it's like to be sexually violated. I know what it's like to have sexual violence hit my house again, right? I know what it's like to be violated by a woman and a man. And so, again, when you pull the covers off, I have no need to confront those who have hurt me. I have confronted some, right? But I don't have that need because I've done my work. I've went to God, right? That is what I believe. That he is a wonderful counselor and he made some in his image, and they are called therapists. Everybody should get you one. That is the primary healthcare physician for your mind. Just like we take care of our bodies, we need to take care of our minds, right? And so I did my work. I've been going to counseling since high school. And when I got to college, I really got into it. And then as trauma continued to come into my life and I learned, right, after self-sabotage, after laying in the same place for too long, I had a friend that texted me for 2 years, good morning, until I responded and it was finally a good morning. So when you say, I hope somebody in Krishan's camp comes get her, that's one of the ways you got to come get her. Sometimes we don't need your judgment. We don't need you to say much. We just need you to be present. How can you love me? Can you love me? Because sometimes we say things in a way that just brings people right back to their pain. And you can't tell me how to manage my pain when you ain't walked in my shoes, right? But time does not heal all wounds, right? And no, you shouldn't grieve forever because that will stagnate some areas in your life, right? So at some point I had to make a decision. Yo, how long are we going to keep letting yesterday affect today, knowing it's going to affect tomorrow? And when I made that decision, I had to accept it happened. I didn't like it. I'm going to go talk about it. And I'm going to be so healed that when I see that person, it's not going to shift me or shake me any differently. I'm still going to be confident and I'm still going to go out here and do what I am called to do. And that is to move people from paralysis to purpose and from trauma to triumph, because that's how my pain was repurposed. And so we got to be that for each other. We have to be community for each other. We have to cultivate these safe places to have courageous conversations. Being online is not it, because people are insensitive. People are mean. People are purposely trying to bring you down. Let's act like we don't know what it is. The scripture tells us jealousy is likened unto death. So that gift you have, right, Kiana, to discern the difference between right and almost right, which is one of the reasons why you like, everybody can't get in this space. Everybody can't hang over here, because you're guarding the anointing that is on your life. Because, you know, some people just want access to what you have. And then there are some people that want genuine access to you because they know the importance of doing life with you.
Bars were dropped, VPR. You get what I'm saying? You don't even need music.
I know, right?
When people are speaking their life, you see how effortlessly it comes off.
Yeah.
And I heard some of her experience, and I know there's so much more in depth to that, but I can understand that you have done your homework to unpack some of the things that you went through, and we do avoid it. And I can speak on the male tip. I try to advocate for men to go get therapy all the time and get a therapist, and they look at me weird. I try to tell some of my homegirls, you know, they single moms and stuff. I'm like, yo, I get it. Yeah, you doing better than what your mother did, and you strong, but don't feel like it's weak to go and see someone and speak to someone. And you know, in certain communities it's frowned upon, in others it's pushed quicker. So the work that you're doing and speaking here, and I'm watching everybody in the chat. Cynthia Muriel, like, she's writing 100. Like, people are tapped into what you're saying, and the viewers are going up, so they're buying and feeling what you're saying here. Kiana, I'm gonna let you take over.
No, I mean, listen, you speak and you drop these gems, and you are so transparent, and I think this is what's needed. And I just truly hope that whoever's watching in silence, you know, and that has suffered, it is so important to tend to your mental health. These traumas will come back out, can actually create mental health disorders, because just like stress can kill your body, heart attacks, et cetera, things upon your body, autoimmune disorders, you can develop mental health disorders as a response, a traumatic response to your trauma, because you haven't learned to heal. And so you nailed it with me, sis. You already know, right? Like, public figure, private person. Everybody can't reach me. That's just not what it's going to be. And I've always been that way, right? Like, hi, hang out with you a short time and bye. And you don't need to know where I am, because the fact is, like you said, not everybody wants access with pure intentions, you know, and I surround myself with those people. And like you said about the content, right? It's the same way in my house. I'm an advocate for, not even when it comes to like things that I used to watch, like Dexter killing. I don't want to see any of it. I'm on a peace, love, and light. And it's not naive, because I've been through it all and I've seen it all. So I know what the fuck exists out here. But I refuse to take it in every day, because it's not good for my mental health. I already suffer from anxiety. So those things, and I'm an empath. So I'm always worried about people and things. Could people connect to me for that very reason? They come to me, I recognize it. They come to me for healing, but I can't always be available for that for everybody, right? But I will help as much as I possibly can, because it's important. That's why it's so important what we do here on VPR, bro. And this is exactly why we created this space, right? Like, all fun and games and conversations, but getting to the real core of conversations. And we always have them with the array of guests that we have had here. We get down to some nitty gritty stuff. And those are the conversations that aren't always being had. And I'm just so glad that we have someone like yourself to come in and really, you know, get to it.
Thank you. TJ, FMI, I will say, please keep encouraging the brothers. And I'm going to keep helping you encouraging the brothers, because it's hard out here in these streets. It's pee in the water, as they say, right? It's
they feel weak, my sister. They feel weak like that. When I say it to them, like, it attacks their pride. It's like me calling them a bitch.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? And it's so. And if I speak it to my homegirls, it's me calling them a bad mother. And I'm like, oh. And I'm trying to, you know, work around their mindsets to meet them in a place where they feel safe enough to have the conversations. And I'm still working towards it, but my immediate people around me understand it, and they've gotten to it. I deal with a lot of, young men in the hip hop industry, and I watch some of the songs that they make. And then when we're at video shoots, I watch how they're just trying to have the machismo thing to be in the toughest in the room, but they don't look at me as that because I'm older. So they'll be like, all right, amongst the 20-year-olds, and they'll sit there and they're trying to one up each other. And I just want to sit there and see if I could break down that process before it reaches the booth. So maybe they could touch on parts of the music they never knew that exist. And maybe that trauma can't be out in the streets shooting, So I'm just trying to find a balance there, with everything I'm doing in the music industry. So I feel where you're coming from. I feel where you're coming from.
It's important. It's important. Go ahead, Kiana.
No, I was just going to say there's purpose behind it all. That's why I love, the divine connection of all of this. Honestly, whenever I come on VPR on Thursday, it doesn't even matter what has been. Like we said, this month has been like, right?
Yeah, I don't know where the moon at. You know what I'm saying? I had to stop my day and go on Spotify and look for my horoscope. Y'all know what the month has to do to me if it's the 14th, and I had to stop what I was doing and say,
let me find out.
I'm supposed to be in LA right now. I got an event tomorrow. Then I got a club after that. And then I had this. But so I'm like, there got to be something going on in the planet right now, because I ain't aligned to nothing. But I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to sort myself out. So
work through it. For me, I get up every morning. I seek the Creator. He is my divine compass. What is on the agenda today, right? And so just on Monday, I thought I had a clear weekend. By yesterday, I learned I'll be back in New York with a client, right? Because we just got to handle our handles. And so again, never knowing exactly what's going to be. When Kiana sent the message, I was like, sure did say this month's out there Thursday. Yes, I am. Right. Because I just, again, when you deal with people, it's really important to be able to be present. And so just like Kiana said earlier about how she knows that people come to her looking for that healing, that's some of the similarities that we have, right? And so eventually I said, we got to turn this into a business, right? And so the Traumatology Center is that, right? Because people were like, what do I do? How do I move from here? How did you do that? Like, how did you come back from all that you went through? Like, you straight up worked for DOC, right? And straight handled your handles and was wild, right? And now you out here running these streets for God, turning stations into sanctuaries and corners into churches. Because at the end of the day, he says, worship me in spirit and in truth. Bring your truth. Like, bring your truth. Like, God, I'm not feeling this. Like, this ain't what's up. Right? Because he already knows he's your creator. Like, a picture you not being able to tell your creator, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever, I made you. And I made you fearfully and wonderfully. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand about trauma. That trauma don't care about your age. It's a thief. And it starts early. And some of us already know that, who came out of wicked wombs. Right? We had wombs. Like we ain't got enough time to go there, but we got wombs. So it's no coincidence that DJ FMI is out here trying to get bros to do better. And they like, nah, right? Because they grew up in environments where maybe there was no dad, or dad was like, you got to be like this. Or they saw dad knock mom up across the head, but yet he had mad side chicks, right? So at the end of the day, he still appeared to be the man. And I just want to be the man, right? And so for some of us that came out of those wicked wombs, we had wounds, right? And so for me, I came out with an autoimmune disease, right? I don't suffer with this autoimmune. I have moments, but I don't suffer with it. When I went to the doctor and he said, we releasing you from hematology, I was like, thank you, Lord, because that was a sign that I was doing my work. The body keeps the score. But it didn't change the fact that when I had my daughter, she had 2 autoimmune diseases. Now she's down to 1, because that was a very traumatic time for me. I was grinding my teeth. I was losing my hair. I was struggling with the abandonment from family and rejection. And when you don't live up to what people think you're supposed to be. You know, imagine me coming from this family. I'm trying to be in these streets. Mama in these streets. Daddy was a pimp. They was doing their thing. So when I said, I'm going to work for Jesus, they was like, who?
Jesus, who?
I was like, we go to church on Sunday. We go to church, girl. We don't really do church, though. Like, what you talking about? And I was like, I heard the call. Nobody else heard the call. And then my uncle was kind enough to say, I heard it. I just didn't answer. I was like, whoa.
Real VPR, that's real.
Whoa.
That's different.
So people will choose what they choose. And people choose petty over purposeful every day. And I will pull up on you and have a courageous conversation. Like, so what we doing today? How we feeling? Do we need to terminate this relationship? Is it no longer serving the two of us? Because people's traumas, and it's like bombs over Baghdad, and you're like, oh my goodness, why you just couldn't have a conversation? Because their shame and their guilt, right? And so, Kiana, it's so much, but this is why people don't show up for you, right? That people may not support you. And so you have to get healthy. You have to get whole so that whether they show up or not, I'm still great. Whether you support me or not, I'm still great. And if I get to when I get to that place, I'm still going to be able to bless you because that's just who I am. I'm never going to let your petty become my poison.
Right. Girl, saying a word, honey.
That part of VPR. Your petty become my poison.
Never. Never.
Listen, now.
Like when you be speaking, you don't know how much experiences you spoke that people have went through. That's why we gotta have a whole episode where she's on from the top of the time, Kiana, because
I agree. From the top.
Everybody has been tuned in this whole time, and they have been throwing up facts, likes, and hearts. And I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna let you cook.
Right,
you're cooking.
She's cooking. She got the whole kitchen going.
I know we're short here on time. I had a clip that I did want to bring up. I'm here to break everybody's hearts because I know this show was a part of our childhood, but I'm just letting y'all know we ain't seen it again. Adrian, what? Catrice said, past hurts will catapult you into destiny.
Yes.
Yes.
Come on, A.
But so guys, I'm breaking your heart here. We're never gonna see the Family Matters reboot, man. Jaleel White is in the streets.
Uh-oh.
And he just cutting down his cast members. If y'all never watched the Full House documentary, I mean the Family Matters documentary, please watch it. I didn't know. I'm not judging the person's character, but
I'm not gonna watch it.
Damn, it broke my heart. But this has broke my heart even more.
2014, I was approached by one of our former producers that Netflix had interest in doing a reboot of Family Matters on the heels of Fuller House having done so well. And that didn't make any sense to me. I didn't feel that it was right for us to have to copy what Full House had done to fit inside someone's business model to capture the magic that made our show make sense. What I imagine for any reboot effort would be inspired by what really happened. How Family Matters came to pass is actually a greater story than what was made up inside the show. Going onto a show that was never intended for me to be the star of, making it last for 9 years, growing up on a studio lot and in public school at the same time, that to me was the somewhere around 2013.
Wow. Sorry, partner.
You're good. But I was rocking with everything that was being said. And then he made it about himself. And then when I watched the documentary and I seen how the execs started to like him because they seen how him bouncing off Eddie Winslow, not Eddie Winslow, but the father, Carl Winslow, was working with the synergy. Then they made this show about him and him going on to become a diva in his own sense, like kicking people off the set, like if you don't get your fucking lines right. And he was just going off on everybody for years. So when I seen the clip and I'm like, damn, we cheated the show and he wanted to make it about him, more about his experience. I was just like, part of history, we're not gonna get VPR.
Yeah. Listen, some things need to just be left where they were, right? And I'm advocate that
I did watch Fuller House though for like 4 episodes, and then I
didn't. My kids got into it, and then I showed them the original Full House. But I've had those nostalgic moments even with my younger kids, having them watch things like Family Matters and stuff that they didn't know.
Where's Comet?
On their time.
They lost me when I didn't see Comet the dog. The little golden retriever.
My daughter got me with Jumanji. Jumanji was my joint when we was growing up, so I watched the one with Kevin Hart and The Rock, you know, but she likes the original. She's more of a 90s baby. She likes our music. She's literally having a fit about her niece watching the reboots of Barney and the remake of Barney. She's like, like the Dora, she cannot stand it. So her and her sister are fighting about who's better parenting.
The same way.
Kiana, look at how the fashion world is now, like getting back to baggy, like the '90s baggy pants with the shades and frames that are like from like the old Diddy videos. No Diddy,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But that now look at that. So it's everything plays back to the '90s. I'm starting to see that repeat itself.
And we constantly cycle fashion, music, like we see it all, right? It comes in, it goes in waves, it goes back out. With me in fashion, like I do what the hell I want to do, right? So state of mind, I don't follow trends. I set my own trends. And so that's how I've always been and always kind of gonna be, even working in the fashion industry. I remember like friends would be like, I wonder which look you have today. Because sometimes it might be like urban cowgirl or geisha girl, right? We never know how coming to work.
I got some of the homies wearing crop tops in the club next to me. And a week ago, they was like killers. So I don't know what to do. I'm just like, all right, you dressing like Prince and shit, but I guess I gotta. They don't know what Prince and shit is, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. Just one in Rome.
Just forget it.
I was like, I'm just gonna continue DJ. So.
Please, my love, you need to let everybody know where they can find you, how they can contact and connect with you, become a client, talk to you. Like, let us know. Let us know.
So again, I am Antara Rashida. I am a womanist traumatologist. I unearth the language of pain to dismantle intergenerational trauma in the lives of families, to bring healing to your lineage and hope to your legacy through Restoring the Remnant. Restoring the Remnant is a ministerial health spa. So basically, we want to get these churches together from the pulpit to the pew, right? So many people don't go to church. They're struggling with church hurt, the pandemic, right? So what's really happening in the pews? And so you can visit us at Restoring the Remnant, RTR.org, Restoring the Remnant, RTR.org. Or if you would like to be serviced with a one-on-one triumphant talk, or if you want to come for a trauma healing group, they vary. We talk about domestic violence, suicide, sexual violence. How can we get along in the midst of conflict? For example, what's going on with the red versus blue right here in our own country, right? And so we have these courageous conversations in brave spaces, but then we can also help you become a facilitator. And so if you want to start these conversations in your community, if you want to start them in your churches, in your home, you are more than welcome. As well as I go into the schools. So hit me up for those school districts that want to talk about trauma-informed pedagogy and professional development, right? And so we care about the teachers, we care about the staff, we care about the counselors. And so our kids are best serviced when they have teachers who show up as their best selves, right? And so it's a twofold process. And so again, the traumatologycenter.org, right? The traumatologycenter.org, or Restoring the Remnant, RTR. That RTR.org, it won't take you to my site. Restoring the Remnant, RTR.org. Thank you.
Hey, VP, I don't know if y'all don't feel it in the air. It's like a purple glow around me. I'm feeling the vibrations, honestly. I love when a guest comes and steals the show and with a positive message.
Mm-hmm.
What you have been through, I know we're going to help so many others. And I will be sending people your way for sure. You get what I'm saying? The next time I sit down with the homies, I'm like, hey, you know, I know we on some shit, the same chromosome kind of thing, you know what I mean? But I got somebody that might be able to reach you. So this the point here, VPR Radio, tuning in every Thursday, 11 a.m. Kiana the Goddess got her mic muted, but I know she got something beautiful to say.
I just really wanted to thank you for coming here, for sharing your absolute truth with us, and for just helping us understand the journey is never complete, right? And making those connections is so imperative for all of us, safely, right? In safe spaces. So please, you guys, feel free to reach out to her. Okay. And we will definitely have you back for a top of the to the bottom of the VPR episode for sure.
And And I can't wait to see y'all everywhere. Y'all are going to be so globally syndicated. It is going to be blowing our minds. So get your red carpet and your little purple carpet.
There
I
you go.
So you're going to have a purple carpet on top of the red carpet. It's just for you. They got to
Don't do that.
Says just for you.
Just for me, baby. Just for me. I received that.
Thank you for tuning in. And also, thank you to all the people that are in our live right now, still showing love. Our numbers have stayed up all stream.
Great
so y'all
energy.
have poured in here, been writing and commenting and chatting and throwing up hearts. We really appreciate that, guys. Share, like, subscribe to live, and we will see you here next Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Have a great, great day.
VPR Radio with my girl Kiana and my DJ FMI.
Don't say